Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Vistapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamarupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahegana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahit Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padana Sahikana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitansha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Bhakta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarivescha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. I hope everyone can hear me. Can see the screen as well. Hare Krishna. Okay, so welcome back. It looks like we haven't had Bhakti Shastri for so long. I think 10 days gap looks like a month gap. Okay, so let's start today. And after this class, we'll have one more class on Sunday, and then we'll have 4 classes on Thursday during Kartik, and then we'll revert back to our Sunday classes. Okay, so last week, last class, we covered a few verses on chapter 4. We'll cover that first as a revision. 437, who would like to do? I'm not sure how many were there last class. Kunchula Mataji and Akhan Rasa Prabhu, I think you were there in the last class.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
37, man. Translation: as a blazing fire turns firewood into ashes, O Arjuna, so does the fire of knowledge burn to ashes all reactions to the material activities. So basically here Krishna is telling Arjuna that importance of the knowledge. Once you have the knowledge, how it can burn and remove all the ignorance in what we have. So knowledge is the only means by which the ignorance can be removed. And yeah, I think basically that's what I've got, I think.
Yeah, no, thank you, Prabhuji. That's a gist. So we're reading this section of glories of the transcendental knowledge. So there are different verses glorifying different aspects of this transcendental knowledge. So one of these verses where Krishna is comparing that knowledge as fire. So if you put a firewood and ignite the fire, what will happen? It will burn away all the wood there. So similarly, whatever material reactions we have, that includes, as Prabhupada writes here, different stages of the reaction. Reaction is making, reaction fructifying, reaction already achieved, and reaction a priori. So aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalon become. That's a famous verse from Nectar of Devotion. So all four stages gets burnt up by this knowledge. Okay. Next one. Ujjwala Samataji, would you like to do this? 38.
Yeah.
Thank
Verse 38. In this world, there is nothing so sublime and pure as transcendental knowledge. Such knowledge is the mature fruit of all mysticism. And one who has become accomplished in the practice of devotional service enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. So this, again, the glorification of knowledge is further continued. And Krishna says that the transcendental knowledge, it's not the intellectual knowledge, but it's the realized knowledge. This knowledge is very pure and ultimate, it's sublime. And this knowledge is the ultimate fruit, is the mature fruit of all mystic knowledge, mysticism. And Krishna explains further that one who attains, what is the fruit that he attains by practicing devotional service? That he enjoys the knowledge within himself in due course of time. So in this kale natmani vindati, that is the important word, because it talks about the knowledge which is within himself, the knowledge of the self, the knowledge of the soul, which is attained by in due course of time by practicing devotional service.
Thank you, Mataji. And why the word kalena is used? Anyone remember? We discussed few examples. Kalen atmani vindati. So devotional service gives sukha. That is true, but it's the word used here is kalena, in due course of time. Prabhupada writes, enjoys this knowledge within himself in due course of time. So what does this due course of time mean? We discussed it last week with an example. Anyone?
We discussed that we feel separated from devotees. That's one of the
Yes.
points that we discussed. And so feel separated from dham, or when we don't have,
Yes.
We crave for having darshan, for going to Vrindavan, for example, or having association with devotees. And you also discussed that, our interest in Krishna conscious activities will gradually increase.
Thank you, Mataji. Gradually increase. So it's not like a switch where you switch on or switch off. So today I've got a certificate of being a devotee. It doesn't work that way. A devotee is all-time devotee, but right now we are not all-time devotee. We're all devotees. We're aspiring devotees. We are not all-time devotees. Most of the time at this stage, we are non-devotees, but slowly, sometimes we are devotees. Slowly we become half devotee, half non-devotee, then slowly become more mature and mature. And the example given, I think by Baldev Vidyabhushan, is of a bud. A flower bud will take some time to blossom into the full flower. It's not like the case if you put 10 liters of water in the flower bud, the flower bud will immediately blossom into a full-fledged flower. It takes its time. So every bud, every plant takes time. A mango tree may take 5 years to fructify. A papaya tree may only give papayas in 1 year. So everything takes time. So we should never over expect from us that we should become full pure devotees immediately. That's why Rupa Goswami says in Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Utsahat Nishchayat Dhairyat. So Utsaha, enthusiasm is required. Nishchaya, determination that I will have to pursue this path, and Dhairyat, which patience. If you don't have patience, I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 20 years, nothing has happened in my life. So it doesn't work that way. Because when you arrive in Vaikuntha, if you ever one day, all you have to do is chant Hare Krishna and serve devotees and serve the Lord. So it's nothing like, I've done the graduation. 3 years, I've studied hard. I was speaking to one devotee yesterday. He said, I've been studying for 20 years. I don't want to study anymore. So much study has been done. But in devotional service, everything is eternal. So whatever we are doing and how we are doing, not by force. When we have to pass an exam outside, it's all by force. To be honest, when I finished my final exams of my master's, I was like, I will never see the face of uni again. Too much pressure. We just get so much bored. But in devotional service, we voluntarily accepting these exams. You guys are sitting here not by force. You have enrolled in this course for the pleasure of Lord and for our own purification. And you're putting your time and effort, you're writing assignments, your teacher has been asking, you are also going to give exams and all this. This is all volunteer because you enjoy it. You don't want to get a degree. I'm sure most of us are not here for the degree. We are here for our self-purification. So it all happens kalena. So kalena word is very, very important. And our acharyas have explained it properly. And we should be patient. And some devotees will take longer than other devotees. It's all okay. Because we don't know this devotee has done, many lifetimes of devotion earlier. So that's why you see some devotees growing very fast, very, very fast. From day one, they will start 16 rounds. And we might take 2 years to come to 16. And then also we'll feel struggles in our life. But that's all okay. That's all okay. So we should never compare on the face value because kalena is word is very, very important in due course of time. Now, we should not be lazy. At the same time, we should not be impatient. We should just execute our devotional service as per the guidance of our seniors, and fruits will come in due course of time. Okay, 39. Who else was there? Prasanatma Prabhuji, were you there last class? I'm not sure.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
You were there, Prabhu?
Yeah, I was there, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, 39. I'll read the translation.
Yes, please.
Faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, he quickly attains the supreme spiritual peace. So, faithful man who is dedicated to transcendental knowledge and who subdues his senses is eligible to achieve such knowledge, and having achieved it, quickly attains supreme spiritual peace. So one was who was faith in this process of transcendental knowledge by controlling his sense, and also by controlling his senses. Gradually, he will attain the spiritual kingdom. That's what it says. Achirena adhigachati. That means very achirena. Very soon he will attain the shantim, peace, transcendental peace. But he will achieve spiritual kingdom by following the process.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
By controlling the senses and by following the process, finally you will attain the spiritual kingdom.
Yeah, and one more important word we can take, tat paraha. Tat refers to that absolute. Para means parayan, depending on that absolute. Very, very important. So unless we have the dependence on the Lord, we will not achieve anything. So we may be able to control our India. We may have a lot of knowledge, intellectual knowledge, but we are not relying on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Tatpara is very, very, very important. Many people are able to control their senses. That's nice, but they're not Tatpara. That's why they're not devotees. Also, one more thing which I think I discussed last, Param Shantim. So yes, Prabhuji, you said transcendental peace. What does it mean? Anyone can expand on it? We discussed about 2 types of peace last time.
There is a peace of mind and peace of the heart.
Thank you, Mataji. And can you please explain?
Yeah, so many a time, like in this material world, our mind is very agitated. But what we attain by the transcendental knowledge is the real peace of the heart, which is the satisfaction of the heart, which actually really gives happiness to everybody.
Yeah. So peace of mind, we may refer to when everything is going good around us. For example, you're in a bushes, you're going for a river walk, and you see some calm and soothing things. So your mind feels relaxed, and that's fine. That's in mode of goodness. But your heart may still not be satisfied. There's nothing to do with the external. And hearts sometimes are very satisfied, although externals are not so good. For example, I think we discussed about Ramayana. Mother Sita was not given the punishment. Who was given the punishment? Lord Ram. But Mother Sita was, sort of disagreeing with Lord Ram that I really want to come with you. Now, was it a very comfortable situation in the jungle? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But she was very worried about Lord Ram that I really want to go with my husband. If my husband is in jungle, I cannot live in the palace. And by that, and Lord Ram did explain to her different types of, inconveniences of the forest life. But she said, as far as I'm with you, I'm fully comfortable. I'm fully comfortable. So that is called the peace of the heart. Although externals are not so good, materially speaking, but your heart is peaceful. Also, I think we discussed the example of a mother and a child. When a child is crying all night, the parents, father or the mother, they both look at the child and they still satisfied because I'm trying to do best for my child. Now, if someone says, okay, you guys sleep and I'll take the child to the hospital, any parents will give a little child away? They said, no, I'll come with you. I'll come with you. I want to stay with my child. Huh? Oh, no, it's 12 o'clock in the night. That's okay. No problem. Huh? So that is called peace of the heart. So peace of mind is just a simple external peace, you can say, where the things are so-called going good, but the heart has to be satisfied. And to satisfy the heart, the external may not be so-called good, but that's okay. So Bhagavad Gita is talking about param shanti, peace of the heart. And that's where Arjun is confused. Arjun is thinking about peace means no war, only sannyas, going to the jungle where everything is soothing and calm, but that doesn't satisfy the heart. And Krishna is saying param shanti refers to the peace of the heart. That means your heart should be satisfied. And how will satisfy your heart? When you satisfy Krishna, then your heart gets satisfied. When you serve devotees, your heart is satisfied. So we're talking about this peace of heart, not peace of mind. And Arjun will get confused about these two words, and we'll discuss that in 5.1. Okay, thank you. And when we'll get the peace, achirena. Achirena refers to very, very soon. So chirena refers to very long, achirena refers to very soon. And also the first line is also important. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. So who will achieve this jnana? Who has shraddha. If you don't have shraddha, if you don't have faith, at least the initial faith in the scriptures and in devotees and the process, you will never even enter into this realm. So forget about getting the param shantim. So some initial faith is needed to enter into the process. And then as you increase your faith, your knowledge increases. Again, it's transcendental knowledge, realized knowledge will increase. And you say, yes, this is the best process for me. Okay, 440. Manmohan Prabhuji, were you there in the last class? I'm not sure.
I think I was there, but can't remember, but I'll read Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji.
And make some, whatever I can. 440, but ignorant and faithless person who doubt the revealed scriptures do not attain God consciousness. They fall down. For the doubting soul, there is no happiness neither in this world nor in the next. So I think it's exactly the opposite of the previous verse, where the faithful person gets the knowledge, but the faithless person, he has no belief in the words of God, in the scriptures, and they are like animalistic people. So they don't believe in the words of the previous acharyas and the scriptures. So they, and for them, there is no happiness in this world or nor in the next. So even in this life, they are not happy. They may be having so-called happiness by materialistic things, but the param shanti and the real peace they never get, and they won't get it in the next life as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice. One more thing which we can sort of understand from the Sanskrit verse, although you have told the gist, Prabhu. So there are three types of faithless people are described in this verse. Sonia Mataji is nodding the head. Would you like to explain? What
Yes.
are the three different types in the Sanskrit first?
Yes, Prabhuji. The first one is Ajnana.
Yes.
Who is ignorant, the one who
Thank you.
has no knowledge. The second one is Ashraddhana, which is the one who has knowledge but no Shraddha or
Thank
no
you.
faith. And then the other one is Samshaya, which is the person who has doubt in that knowledge.
Thank you. And how do you expand that, the Sanshayatmas? Because most of us in the devotional community, I can say, are fit into the third category. We are not Agyanis, we are not ignorants, we have some knowledge,
Yes.
we have some Shraddha, so we don't have Ashraddha, we have some Shraddha, but we are Samshayatma. And what does doubt refers to?
Doubt refers to like whether it will be fulfilled or not. We are doing, you gave an example of Radha Gopinath. Let's say we are doing so much of Radha Gopinath for Radha Gopinath. Is Radha Gopinath noting it down or not? And then you gave an example. The perfect example would be the Brahman and a cobbler example that you shared. The cobbler had, undoubtful Shraddha, and he trusted whatever is happening, Krishna can do anything. But the Brahman was doing everything, even though he had full knowledge, he was following everything, but he had no faith in Krishna, that whether Krishna can put an elephant from the eye of a needle from left to right. So that's the example that you shared, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
We should
Mataji.
have full faith in Krishna, other than the knowledge. Even though we might not have, I think a person is better who has more faith than the knowledge. Even with the little knowledge, if he has full faith, he still have chances to go to Golok Vrindavan and get Krishna. But knowledge without faith is useless.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice. Samshayatma, so Mataji very nicely explained the word Samshayatma, the doubtfuls, so which we have doubts. So 3 types of doubts can arise in our mind. Now, there are 3 types of faithless people. Right down within doubters, there can be 3 categories. First category is they have doubt in the existence of God itself. Does God really exist? These people are Hare Krishna, are crazy people. They go after this, white dolls. Someone was saying yesterday, DT is a doll. Anyway, so they are crazy. I'm not. So the existence of God itself is a doubt. Then existence of our relationship with God. Okay, God exists, but what God has to do with me? Russian president, whoever it is, you may talk about him, but he's got nothing to do with us at this stage, at least. He is not, fortunately, the president here. He's somewhere else. So he said, what's got to do with me? So God exists, that's fine. So what for me? There's no relation. So the relationship is doubtful. And the third is the doubts in the process itself. You have no doubt in existence of God. You have no doubt in your relation with him, but you have doubt in the process itself. Oh, is Hare Krishna process going to work, or this meditation will work? I think this Gayatri Walas are also very good. In India, we have this Gayatri Yagya Wala, and they have Brahma Kumaris. There are this Sanstha, that organization, this, that. There's so many doubts. There are faithful people, but they have doubts. They go in every single organization for 3 months or something, and they come back with more doubts. So it's very important to have faith in the words of our Acharya saying, yes, this Acharya makes sense. I was listening Radheshyam Prabhu, and I'm sure most of you would have heard his realization regarding this. He said, I've gone to many organizations for years. He has read many, many books, and you can believe him. He's a gold medalist. IIT gold medalist. So he said, finally, when I read Prabhupada books, I was completely, fully satisfied with these books and the process. I was fully satisfied. It just makes sense. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, Gauranga Prabhu, Bhakti Rasamrat Maharaj, so many examples, like top scholarly people in their field before coming to Krishna consciousness. But when they came, they read the books, they were fully convinced this process will work. This process will work. So we should not have doubt in any 3 categories. And especially the third category, doubts are very, very dangerous doubts, because once we have doubt in our process itself, then we can leave, isn't it? We can go to this. There are many temples in Sydney as well. I don't want to name anyone, but they do exist, and they have some audience coming every day. So because they don't have this faith that this process is going to work. So we should read the books very carefully. And Prabhupada said we should read the books from different angles with different devotees and analyze them. Prabhupada said, I don't want blind followers. Prabhupada was not into making numbers. He said, I don't want blind followers. I would like to have just one disciple as a moon rather than having millions of disciples as stars. Prabhupada was not into numbers at all. Prabhupada said, I never came here to get this much success. I would be happy just to get one person change his life to fulfill the orders of Vice Mission Master. So it's not about the number game. ISKCON, although it's growing a lot, but it's not about, this process is so pure. Prabhupada also said only a real jeweler will appreciate the value of a diamond. If you're not a good jeweler, you don't have the knowledge of jewelry, you will find a diamond and a broken piece of glass equally value, isn't it? If you take a big piece of diamond, you go to a rickshawala and say, what value will you give to this piece of stone? He will say, okay, I'll give you 5 rupees. Hooray, 5. This is a $5 million hira diamond, but you're giving me 5 rupees, because he just doesn't have that knowledge. So very, very important. Samshayatma vinashyati. So if we have doubts, even we may be so-called advanced in our devotional life, but still many devotees have doubts, and these doubts bring them down. So that's why we have to be constantly under the shelter of our seniors. We should never feel independent. I am advanced enough to be independent. We are never advanced enough. Even Narad Muni is consulting Supreme Personality of Godhead. Arjun is consulting Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vyasadeva is consulting with his spiritual master. So we should always consult. And then even if there are doubts, as Prabhupada said, we don't want blind followers. Doubts can be clarified. But if the doubts are just inside our heart, one day they will blast like a pressure cooker. If you don't release the steam, what will happen? It will blast. So we have to be very careful. We should always seek guidance from our senior advanced devotees, and then these doubts will go away. Bhakti Charu Maharaj said very nicely, if there is a question, there is an answer. If there is a question, there is an answer. Now, we may not know the answer because we are not so knowledgeable, but the answer exists. We just have to find the person. So if you have doubt, clarify your doubts. It's a very nice verse. And what will be the result? Vinashati. Destruction, falls back. Okay, let's move 41. Sevamrit Mataji, were you there in the last class?
Yeah, I was there.
Hare Krishna Mataji, would you like to force this one?
Sure. One who acts in devotional service, renouncing the fruits of his actions and whose doubts have been destroyed by transcendental knowledge, is situated factually in the self. Thus, he is not bound by the reactions of work or conqueror reaches. That's like similar to what we've discussed already. So just like concluding everything, basically, again, with the doubts, I think the, sannyasa is important. Like it says that one who have like the renouncing is a big part of this. So like one who has renounced the fruits of his actions. And then again, the doubts, like I think we were discussing last time, like more to do with the next verse, but you were saying how, like when we have doubts, we should cut them off, try to find the answers, like what you just mentioned before. So it's a really important, like to put the doubts in the parking lot and then like address them in the future, because otherwise, they'll, if the doubts are not destroyed by the knowledge, then eventually like you will not be able to basically act in devotional service. It's like all connected.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. I think one thing which you mentioned very nicely, and I think we discussed, I forgot to mention the previous verse. Even if you have doubts and they're not clarified, put them in the parking lot. So today I may not be able to find the satisfactory answer, but that's fine. I may not be eligible to understand that concept as yet. Like a little boy in year 3 or 4, is trying to understand PhD mathematics. So it's not, the professor is not able to explain properly. He just doesn't have that receptive power as yet. So as he grows, as he matures, he does, different steps in mathematics, then he will be able to understand that concept as well. So many times, many devotees ask the same question again and again and again and again, and they're just not satisfied. They're not satisfied. So we should put them in the parking lot and just wait. Maybe the person is not able to explain. That may be the case, and maybe I'm not able to understand because I'm not qualified. So we should not be just go after that one question, one eternal question. I know some devotees, at least in the past, every sannyasi will come, they will raise hand. Any question, they'll raise hand. And they will ask the same question. So that just represents our ego as well many times, because no one is else asking a question. I'm asking a question. Actually, question should be very relevant to the class. One time Radha Govind Maharaj was explaining how we should ask questions. That's also an art. He said the seniors should be given the first opportunity, then the juniors, and then it should be relevant to the class, not like class was spoken on topic A and you're asking a question about topic Z. It's very, very different, and that disrupts the class. So we have to put some things in the parking lot sometime and just be patient and try to find, again, with respect and humility, and you'll find answer. Many times you hear a class, you'll just get your question answered. I've experienced that many times. Just all of a sudden, somewhere I will hear something. That's very nice. I was reading Bhurijan Prabhu the other day, Nectar of Devotion commentary of Bhurijan Prabhu, and I really found an answer which I wasn't like burning question for me, but it was there in my mind for many, many years, but I was not after it. But Bhurijan Prabhu answered that immediately. In one line of Bhurijan Prabhu answered that question, which was in my heart for many, many years. And I usually never ask questions, but it just got revealed that day, and it just makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. I'll tell you the question and answer when we reach to Nectar of Devotion. It's very interesting. I'm sure most of you would have that. Okay, let's move forward. Thank you, Mataji. And the last line said, Nibdhanti na dhananjaya. So that person who has done sannyasta karmadam, has renounced the fruits of his action, will not be bound, because that's the topic we are discussing in the Karma Yoga section. Okay, last verse of this chapter. Mahavasu Prabhu, I'm not sure whether you were there in the last class.
No, Prabhu, we are not there. But anyways, can we try, please?
Sorry, Prabhu.
Can we try, Prabhu?
Oh, sure, Prabhu, sure.
Hare Krishna. So it says, therefore, the doubts which have arisen in your heart out of ignorance should be slashed by the weapon of knowledge, armed with yoga. O Bharata, stand and fight. So here Krishna is concluding it. That's why I use the word therefore. So whatever he has explained about jnana, that the transcendental knowledge is the one that can actually cut all the attachments in terms of not as karma, but in the reactions or the fruits of the karma. So Krishna is saying is that once one who has actually understood this knowledge, this will, what it will do, it will actually help one to arise out of ignorance, which is situated in our heart, right? And secondly, he says that this knowledge will act as a weapon, and this knowledge is all about self-realization. Prabhupada actually gives the translation. In translation, talks about yoga. There are two types of yoga. He calls it, in this, Krishna is predominantly talking about Sanatana yoga, which is, there are two types of yoga. One is like sacrifice, and other one is the knowledge of the self. And Prabhupada is emphasizing on the knowledge of the self, because once we know that we are part and parcel of the Lord and we don't have any control over the karma, right? We have to perform our karma, but we don't have control over the results of the karma. So once we use this knowledge of transcendental knowledge, that is our relationship with the Lord, that whatever activity that we do to please the Lord, that will actually cut off all our bondage and attachment with the roots, with the fruits of the karma. And that's how a person can actually be clear of all the doubts and he can perform activity. And that's why Krishna is saying here that you get up and now you fight. If I'm sorry, Prabhu, if I've spoken anything wrong, but that's what is my understanding. Hare Krishna.
No, very nice. Although you're not there, you still gave the gist. Thank you. Two more things we can take from the sensitive perspective. So Tasmad, as Prabhuji said, and therefore is concluding last verse of this section. Agyana Sambhutam. So word Sambhutam is very important. You'll read this word many times in Ishopanishad. So Sambhuti, Asambhuti, Sambhutam. So Sambhutam, Agyana Sambhutam is born of ignorance. So it can be anything, but Sambhutam is born. Sambhutam also refers to permanent, and Asambhuti refers to impermanent, non-permanent. So here is some jnana asina. So asina word is important. We were talking in the previous verse, cut them off. This verse of Chitvanam. So cut, asina refers to the weapon. So what weapon do we have to cut off our doubts? The weapon of knowledge. Prabhupada writes a sword, a weapon of knowledge. So we should cut our doubts with the weapon of knowledge. But if the weapon is not very strong, you want to cut a pumpkin, say Australian pumpkin, Indian pumpkins are soft. You need a good knife, isn't it? Matajis will know you have to have a big knife and push hard. Indian pumpkins are soft. But suppose the knife is blunt. Can you cut the pumpkin? You can't. So your weapon, whatever activity you are doing, has to be sharp enough to be able to do the job. Sometimes our knowledge is very weak. And that's why we say, we actually start questioning Krishna or the process or the devotees itself. No, our knowledge is weak. We'll read about this comparative knowledge again in Ishopanishad as well as NOI and NOD. Actually, all three books covers this knowledge part and faith part. And the final section is Atishtotis Bharata. So if you have doubts, cut them with the weapon of knowledge and get up and fight. Because of doubts, you've been sitting there, right? So, O Bharata, stand and fight. Atishtotis Bharata. Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any comments or questions on this particular chapter before we go to 5.1, which we have already started last week?
Can I ask a question,
Yes,
Prabhuji?
Prabhuji.
So, Prabhuji, I understand the verse meaning on this one, but Sambhutam and Asambhutam, what is it in regards to in terms of this verse? Permanent and temporary, is it referred to the knowledge?
Okay, so here the Sambhuti word refers to born. So one word in Sanskrit can have multiple meanings. So here the meaning which is taken by Prabhupada and our acharyas is born of ignorance. Here we are not taking the meaning permanent and impermanent of Sambhuti. Yeah. I just said different meanings because we'll read the same word in Ishopanishad which will have different meaning. Okay. So Sanskrit is not like a frozen language like English. It's a very dynamic language. One word can have different meanings based on the context. His Holiness Bhanu Maharaj was explaining one Sanskrit verse can have up to 11 meanings. In Bhagavatam, we are talking 11 meanings, and the commentaries are available in the market. Now, what's bona fide and what's not, that's a different story because every author will have his own interpretation. But the point is, the word meaning is correct, but the word meaning changes, and that's why we have to have the commentaries of our bona fide acharya so that we really understand what does it really mean in Krishna's mind. Otherwise, they're also translating it correctly, but they're not presenting the message correctly. So that's why we have to understand from the proper sources. Many times we may know few words and translations of them, but again, refer it back to Prabhupada and see whether this is the correct understanding, because meaning will change based on the context. So here, Sambhuti refers to born.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. I guess no more questions, so we'll proceed to chapter 5. So name of chapter 5, Jai Prakash Prabhu is very expert in Sanskrit names of the chapter. Chapter 5 name in Sanskrit?
Karma Sannyasa Yoga.
Thank you. See, he knows everything.
You only told Prabhu last time.
I also heard it and I'm sharing. Okay, so Karma Sannyas Yoga. So what's the difference between chapter 3 and chapter 5? We discussed about it. Anyone else except Jai Prakash Prabhu? What's the relation and what's the difference? So there's a bigger umbrella and there are sub umbrellas in that. So we're reading Karma Sannyas Yoga. Anyone who was there last week?
Chapter 3 is talking about Karma Yoga.
Yes.
Doing that activity. And chapter 5 is actually how to live our life using Karma Yoga, basically practical applications.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. So both are sort of Karma Yoga, but when we talk about Karma Sannyasa Yoga, which is basically renouncing not the action itself, but the fruits of the action. So we don't just stop the activities. We are not into inactivity, but we perform the activity in a way which is more Krishna conscious. Now, as Prabhuji was explaining, the 5th chapter is a practical application of the aspects which we have read in chapter 3. Similar theme will be discussed in chapter 7 and chapter 9. So when Krishna picks up a topic again, second time, he gives more depth of the topic. So chapter 3, whatever concepts been explained, it will be explained more in depth in chapter 5, and it will be more application based, how we apply those concepts in our life. So in one sense, it's a deeper concepts in chapter 5. That's why it's Karma Yoga, similarity, but at the same time, application part of it. So more theory which we have learned in chapter 3 will be explained as application in chapter 5, which is Karma Sannyas Yoga. Okay, so we start from text 1. Usually many of the chapters, if not all the chapters, you will see of Bhagavad Gita when Arjuna is asking a question and then Krishna sort of responds. It's a similar theme here. It does not apply to all the chapters. We have chapters where Arjuna does not ask question. For example, chapter 9, Arjuna is not asking any question, and there may be more chapters. 15 as well comes to my mind. Okay, so 5.1 Arjuna Uvacha. We have already done it, I think, till verse 5. Let's do a quick revision. Jai Prakash Prabhu, you want to do this?
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you. Arjuna said, "Oh Krishna, first of all, you asked me the renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now, will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?" So I think since in the last chapter, Arjuna heard from Krishna around the importance of the transcendental knowledge. And then at the last sloka we had seen, he asked him to fight. So that's why I think Arjuna is kind of trying to get more clarifications, and he's putting it or requesting Krishna to clarify, like if out of these two, like whether you want me to renounce the work or whether you want me to work with devotion, and which one do you think is better? So, and also I think you gave one beautiful way of putting it, karma se sannyas or karma me sannyas. So how to deal, even some of the examples, like how one deals in case of provocation and response, and how he tries to restrain from the temptations using intelligence. So overcoming some of these internal enemies, dualities. That's why he is referring it as Mahabahu.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. So basically, as Prabhuji nicely explained, so he's again confused. He's saying, Ekam, tell me one thing. I am confused. No, Krishna has not told Arjun two things, but Arjun is thinking, you're telling me two things. So please tell me one thing. And that one thing should be a Shreya activity, which will give me long-term benefit, not a short-term benefit. So tanme bruhi sunishyam. So please, sunishitam, you define that one activity, and bruhi. Bruhi means you please tell me that particular activity. Let's see what Krishna says of this question's response. 5.2. Who was Divya Mataji? Were you there last class? Okay, no problem. I'm sure Ragvi Mataji was not there as far as I remember. Okay, we'll go back into the Sonia Mataji, Hare Krishna. I'm not sure whether you were there. Mataji, you're on mute. You're on mute, Mataji.
Okay, sorry, Prabhuji.
That's okay.
The personality of Godhead replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. So Krishna clearly tells us that, work in devotion is better than renunciation of work. So for example, we can renounce our activities and just go in sadhana to chant Hare Krishna without leaving our karma and everything, our family and all. But the other person being a grahastha and doing all the activities and then keeping Krishna in the center and doing remembering Krishna in each and every activity, whether offering prasadam or while taking shower, also starting our day, drinking water, also having Krishna in our heart, and then remembering Krishna in each and every activity, that is more beneficial than a person who completely renounce and then just try to remember Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. And why is it difficult? What you said is correct. So just sort of extending why it is difficult to renounce the activities. Because that is unnatural for us. Because we as a soul are constantly active. So when our intrinsic is always active and externally we are trying not to do activity, it will be a clash. It will be a friction. Like
because our eternal nature is the servant of the Lord,
That's right.
Servant of the Lord. So it is difficult for us to not to do anything. We are born, that's our eternal nature, to serve. Yes. And main purpose is to serve Krishna, and then doing all our activities, and we are seeing Krishna in form of all the other activities that we are doing. That's the best way to do it.
Thank you, Mother. So this is a very nice verse. So this verse represents comparison between Jnana Yogi and Karma Yogi. Who's a Jnana Yogi? Who does Karma Sannyasa? They renounce all the activities. If you go in that sort of section, it's a big section, but you have to renounce the word. Like their spiritual life, it starts from renouncing the word. Now, how many of us can renounce the word? We can't even renounce 2 hours for a class many times. It's very difficult. Joining online is also difficult. So what to speak of renouncing the word? But if you go in that part, I don't know to name any organizations, they actually say you have to take sannyas first and then only you start your journey. Like, forget it. Forget it. We having all these activities and trying to put Krishna in the center. That's much better. So karma sannyasat refers to a Jnana Yogi, and karma yoga refers to karma yogi. So Krishna is saying very clearly, very, very clearly, it's Krishna's words. It's not Prabhupada's words. It's saying tayostu, out of all those two, Karma yoga vishishyate. So I prefer, Krishna is saying, I prefer karma yogi. Karma yogi means you put Krishna as center. And Prabhupada very clearly writes in the translation, work in devotion. Finish. There's no discussion actually here. Oh, Jnana yoga is better or karma yoga, this and that. No. Prabhupada translates karma yoga is work in devotion. Khatam. Very straightforward. So Jnana yogi, who is important? Jnana yogi or karma yogi? Krishna is saying karma yogi is important. Now Prabhupada obviously translating karma yogi to bhakti yogi. So very clear verse. And Prabhupada purport here is very beautiful, where he's telling the teachings of Rishabdev, Nunam Pramatta Kurte Vikarma, how we are bound. So whole Prabhupada purport is basically how we should not be bound in the material world. I'll just read 2 lines, very beautiful. Fruity activities seeking sense gratification are the cause for material bondage. As long as one is engaged in activities aimed at improving the standard of bodily comfort, one is sure to transmigrate to different types of bodies. So this is very important, a statement for all of us. So as far as we are aiming to improve the standard of bodily comfort, it may be so-called devotees or other people, we will be bound. And bound means we will transmigrate to a different type of body. So we have to get out of this bodily concept as much as possible and as soon as possible. We should never become complacent in our devotion life. Otherwise, Nunam pramatta kurte vikarma. Nunam pramatta. We are all, to matta is mad. Pramatta means super mad. Super mad. And because of that, to satisfy that super madness, the hunger of our heart, kurte vikarma. Vikarma means vikrat karma. The karma which is prohibited in Shastra, we do those activities just to fulfill those hungry desires. And then yad indriya priti apranoti na sadhu manne. So sadhus do not recommend those sort of activities because they will bound you in the material world. They will bind you in the material world. Okay, let's move forward. 5.3. Sumit Prabhuji, would you like to do?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjuna. So we can pick some Sanskrit words here that we discussed last time, Prabhuji. So Neya, which means should be known. Dveshti, it is hate. Kankshati, desire. And Nirdvando, which is free from dualities. So when it says na dveshti, that we discussed was should not hate anyone. There's no hatred for anyone. We also discussed about the dualities that exist in this material world, which is Sheet and Ushna, Man, Apman, and Sukh and Dukh. All those dualities. Further, what is when we discussed was that we do not have control over any of these dualities. So it is going to happen what is going to happen. So we can't really control any of these. And we also said that having hope is not wrong, but having false hopes about anything is not correct. And the other example that you mentioned last time was about a factory worker. It can be better than a sannyasi if a sannyasi does not remember Krishna and if that particular person. I mean, similarly, it fits back to the same cobbler and Brahman story as well. Brahmana was learned and had all the knowledge, but again, he did not have the faith. Yeah. But the cobbler who did not have any knowledge had the full faith in Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The main word which we can pick in this whole was Nitya Sannyasi. Now, Arjun initially wanted to take sannyas, leave everything, go to the jungle and become a beggar, a sannyasi, right? Leave everything. So Krishna is saying, do you know the actual definition of sannyas? Who is a Nitya Sannyasi? Nitya Sannyasi means always sannyasi. Now, sometimes a sannyasi is only sannyasi when he's giving a class. I'm not talking about other moments. When they give class, they give a fantastic class. When they go back, they smoke bidi. So those sort of sannyasi also exist. So they are not sannyasis. The Nitya Sannyasi means who is always sannyasi, Yo nadvesti, so three characteristics Krishna is giving. Nadvesti, he does not hate with anyone. Why he does not hate with anyone? Anyone knows? I think we expanded on it. Why we hate, and what is that platform where we will not hate anyone? Does anyone hate himself? Unless you are in deep depression. We all love our body, you know. For the bodily comfort, we do so many things. We sometimes even exploit others, cheat others, do so many nonsense just to maintain our body. So if we consider others as good as us, now we're not talking about impersonalism here, Mayavad here, but you know, a simple example can be given. Everyone loves their own family. Even a dog loves their family. A monkey loves, a bird loves, a cow loves. A cow who has just given birth to a newly born calf, you go close to the calf, she will put horns against you. The cow may be a very gentle cow, but that time she's overprotective about the baby. So even animals have this protective mentality. So because we love our kids, we love our parents, we love our family. So when we consider Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole Vasudha, the whole earth is the family of Lord, then we'll not hate anyone. We'll not hate anyone. It's just coming to that platform and understanding. It's just everyone has a different shade of their body color. Some are more white than others. Some are black. Some are green and yellow and whatnot. But they all children of God. When we come to that platform, we will never hate anyone. We'll never hate anyone. And Nakangshati is very simple. What are you going to gain in this material world anyway? So Nakangshati is simple. Nirdvando, that's a difficult one. As Prabhuji explained, there are 6 types of dandas, 6 types of dualities which do exist in the material world. We hardly have any control over them. Hardly have any control over them. So Nirdvando. So if we are able to live up to this standard, na dvesti, na kangshati, na nirdvando. So you're not flickering when someone praises you. You feel like, wow, you know, please Prabhuji, more. Atma Shlaga, that's the word. Atma Shlaga refers to someone is praising me. So we love Atma Shlaga. And when someone praises someone else, we hate it. Prabhuji, why not me? Some speaker was telling in a lecture, when we feel a real joy in appreciation of others, then we should consider ourselves we are growing in devotion. When we feel joy in our praises, you are not actually developing. You're not developing. You feel more joy. Prabhuji, fantastic class. Prabhuji, fantastic Shringar. This, that, and you really feel in the heart. Actually, you know, Prabhuji is realizing how great I am. Actually, you're not advancing in devotional life. When you feel joy for the others, when others are getting praise, this Prabhuji, this Mataji did wonderful seva for Guru Maharaj, for Prabhupada. You really feel joy. It's not a matter of words. Then you should feel, thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhupada. I have less envy. I would not say no envy. Many times we feel like we have no envy. Actually, that's not correct. We may be lessening our envy, which is very nice. No envy is a very big platform, very, very big platform. Gurujan Prabhu said no envy means we have become pure devotees. So now at this stage, you may think, oh, I don't envy anyone. But in the deep core of our heart, envy does exist. And to remove envy completely is a very big thing, very, very big thing. Anyway, so when the envy is lessening, then we should understand we are developing. Some mercy is coming inside us. And then you can live on this platform of nirdvando. No duality will be able to shake you. If praise comes, thank you. Actually, praise, a devotee takes praise like something which is not conducive to my devotional life. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu was explaining in one of the articles which he wrote after his last Australia tour. I'm looking at Charu Mataji. I was speaking to Shubh Krishna Prabhu, and he was mentioning about Chaitanya Charan Prabhu today itself. And he's coming back now to Sydney. If you don't know, please find out from Shubh Krishna Prabhuji. He has arranged very nice programs for Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. He is coming next month. I don't remember the dates, but maybe Charu Mataji can share exact dates if you know. I think it's 25th of November or something, something like that.
24th of November.
24th. See, I was close. 24th of November. Okay, so Prabhuji is coming for 2 weeks. Please take full opportunity to listen from Prabhu as much as possible. Anyway, so he was talking to one of the Prabhupada disciples. I'm not getting the name here. Anyway, so this Prabhuji was saying, how was your Australia tour? So Chaitanya Charan Prabhu responded, it was very, very nice. I met many wonderful people. We went this program, that program, and it was
Bhurijan Prabhu.
Bhurijan Prabhu, here we are. Thank you, Mataji. Huh? You also read that article. So Bhurijan Prabhu was listened to Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, and then he said, these praises, or maybe he used some other word, these praises can be very fatal to your spiritual life. This is the word of Bhurijan Prabhu, who is a very senior Prabhupada disciple, to Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. Now that's important. If he tells me, that's definitely true, but telling to Chaitanya, it can be fatal for your spiritual life. So the praises which devotees are giving us can be very fatal. So we should be very careful. Radha Govind Maharaj explaining in the class, we say we should tolerate man and apman, we should tolerate the insult and the honor. But he said, tolerating insult is easier than tolerating the man, tolerating the praises. Sometimes you may not mind if someone insults you. That's okay. He doesn't understand me. But if someone praises you, that many times touches the heart. So we should test our advancement on that basis, how much we are internally feeling joy in listening to our praises. So that can be fatal. That can be very fatal. How good you are. Everyone loves to hear these words. Huh? Yes, I am good. We are not so good. Anyway, we should praise others. We should praise others. Genuinely, it's not a buttering. We find out a quality of that person, and we can say appropriately at appropriate time as well. They said a guru should never praise his disciple, at least in front of his face. We should never do that. So appropriately, with appropriate words, with a very genuine that seva which this devotee has performed, and by doing that, our envy goes away. So we should do that regularly. I think it was Mahatma Prabhu who was telling one of these exercises which we should do to decrease the envy in our heart, to praise others. Again, genuinely for the right seva at the right time with the right words. That's also very important. Okay, so this is a platform of nirdvando. And if you are living in that plot, sukham bandhat pramuchate, so very easily, it was not very difficult to come out of this bondage. Very easily, sukham, very sukha, very easily we'll just cross over the bandha, pramuchate. So there's a word called muchate. Draupadi also used this word when Ashwatthama was bound. Muchate, muchate. Putana also uses this word, muchate, muchate. Please relieve me, please relieve me. So he's saying, pramuchate, you will completely come out of it. So come very easily, very easily. You'll not struggle at all to live in that platform. And that if you are living, you are a nitya sannyasi. Then you are not just by leaving the activities and having just a garb of a sannyasi and going to a jungle, you become sannyasi. No, you're nitya, you're always a sannyasi. And this is what Krishna's recommendation is. You become sannyasi all the time. It doesn't matter, you're male, female, you are a child, you're in America, you're in India, you're in a village, or you're in a city, you're a CEO. That doesn't matter. You can still be a sannyasi all the time. Okay, let's see what else Krishna says in 5.4.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, Mataji.
So, Prabhu, this nirdvando, free from dualities, as human beings, can we really be free from duality? And I'm not talking about just praise and insult. We go through life and we face so many problems, and it's but natural to feel upset and depressed about certain things. So is that not normal?
Yeah.
Don't sannyasis go through this? I heard in one of the lectures, maybe all of you would have too, Gaur Gopal Prabhu, one time he was going through the immigration in Heathrow Airport, and someone asked him, oh, so are you married? And he looked at them and said, don't you see my robes? I'm not married. And then he says, but I'm the happiest man in the world. So the immigration officer asked, why so? Because I'm not married. And then he laughed and he said, there is no one in this world, be it a sannyasi or a monk or a child or anybody, who doesn't go through the sufferings in life. And therefore my question, is it possible to be a nirdvando in this material world?
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice and very, very practical question. Day-to-day life, we can talk about the theory, but we do go up and down in our emotional level at least. So Radhanath Maharaj answers this question very nicely. He said, we are humans. Okay, I'll go to Prabhupada first, and then I'll come to Radhanath Maharaj. That will sort of complete the chain. So Prabhupada was asked this question. Arjun heard the whole Bhagavad Gita, and when Yuddha started on the 13th day, everyone knows Abhimanyu died. Very brutally, Abhimanyu was killed, rather. And Arjun was furious that night. Arjun's eyes, as explained in Mahabharata, was red. And then he took a vow that I will kill Jayadratha by tomorrow sunset. So Prabhupada was asked this question by one of his disciples, but Arjun just heard the Bhagavad Gita, few days ago. Was his knowledge not complete? If you seen 1873, Nasto Moha Smriti Labdha. So my moha is gone, my smriti, my intelligence is reestablished. So how come Arjun is crying and is getting angry at the death of his son? Prabhupada, one line answer was, it's natural. It's natural for a father to cry. And Prabhupada, I think it was second son, if I'm not wrong, or third son. Prabhupada has had 5 kids. Second son, actually he got mad. Many of you would know. Leelamrit says the second or third, I can't remember. He got mad. Actually, he was living in the streets of Calcutta when Prabhupada came to know the condition of his son. He tried his best. He took him to the hospital. The hospitalization was going on for many years, actually. Son came back home and then he left again. He became completely mad. He was literally eating from the garbage bin. That's what I've heard. Prabhupada then heard about the condition of his son. He cried. He cried. So Arjun cried, and Prabhupada said that was natural. Now Radhanath Maharaj gives a further explanation on that, which is so beautiful. So the first thing is, it's natural for us to become disturbed if our loved ones goes through some hardships. Someone leaves the body, someone goes to hospital. It's just natural, right? Second step. But being a human being filled with emotions, we go up and down, that's okay. But Radhanath Maharaj said that should not stop our service, as Arjun did. Arjun got angry, but what he did next day, he was on his duty. And Maharaj said he was on Krishna's duty. So he did got upset, that's fine. But next day he did not tell Krishna, Hare Krishna, enough ho gaya. Chutti, I'm not a ISKCON Hare Krishna anymore. Bye bye, I've seen you, I've seen what, you could not even protect your own disciple. Mani was disciple of Krishna. No, Maharaj said next day he was on duty. So as far as we are on duty of our spiritual master's instruction, it's okay to feel. Another Madhuvisha Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple, very senior disciple, he also mentioned in the explanation of 214 Matra Shastri Konteya. Someone asked this question. So we do see, hot and summer weather, which is basically pleasing moments and unpleasing moments. He said you can observe. Observing and getting disturbed is 2 different things. So you can observe, we can emotionally cry sometimes. We can, oh, very nice, my son has, topped the university. Everyone feels happy. Nothing wrong with that. It's nice to be joyful in our son's or daughter's success or our loved one's success. That's completely natural. But if we get so much joy that we stop chanting Hare Krishna next day because of joy or distress, then that's wrong. So we should back to be on our duty ASAP. And the final statement, Prabhupada said, this place is not for any gentleman or a gentle lady. So you are in a mess. You cannot avoid mess. So it's very messy situation and you can never clear it up completely. Kadam Kanal Maharaj said, you can never clear it up completely. There will always be this mess or that mess. Just get out. Get out. So we are in a wrong place. These mess will happen. We will have our emotional up and down, but we should never quit our duty ever. Is that okay, Mataji? In short, it can be extended to many layers as well, but in short, this is Prabhupada and Radhanath Maharaj's response, which I heard, and it's quite convincing to me. Okay. I think Manchula Mataji or Akhanda Prabhu want to add something, please.
Prabhuji, just actually a quick question. We have been discussing, how Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, or everything can be used in the service of the Lord. Sorry, not everything, except Matsarya, except envy. Everything can be used in the service of the Lord. But here, when we were reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, in that it says, the 7th canto, it says that the lust, anger, greed, illusion, pride, and envy all have their proper use for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So how does the envy have the proper use for the service of the Lord?
Okay, it's maybe out of context, Mataji, for this discussion. I'll quickly say, so envy can be, I think Radhesham Prabhu gives a very nice class, give a class, I can't remember which class, but he said envy can be converted. You know, sometimes you have a raw product like atta. Everyone like chapati. I like. No one can eat raw atta. Can anyone eat raw atta? I'm not sure. Maybe animals can. Humans can't. Huh? So raw atta can be converted to a nice chapati and then can be offered to a devotee or to the Lord, right? So envy in its raw form cannot be used, but when it's converted, envy gets converted into love. Lust get converted into love. So when they are converted properly by the process of sadhana, then it can be used, but not in the raw form. Envy cannot be used in the raw form.
Okay.
Lust also, when we talk about lust, can be used. So lust, which is dharma aviruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bhartar sabha. So Krishna says, sex life which is non-contrary to religious principle, that's what I am. Huh? So lust, again, in the very raw form which we see in the material world, cannot be used, but in the proper form, yes, that can be used in Krishna's service. Krishna says that I am. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Very nice and practical questions. Good. So we should try to become the message of this verse, which I was trying to say, Nitya Sannyasi. All of us in our own situations, no matter who we are and where we are, how much knowledge, Nitya Sannyasi. So it's not a position when we only achieve after getting initiated, after going to temple, entering into that premises. No, this is our eternal situation. We should try to become Nitya Sannyasi. Difficult, it's difficult, but this is what the standard is. And by the mercy, we can achieve it. Again, Kalena, in due course of time. Okay, 5.4. Who was there last time? Bhakti Vijaya Mataji? I'm not sure. No, okay, no problem, Mataji. Jayaprakash Prabhu is always ready.
5.4, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Translation: only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya yoga. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieve the results of the both. So in this, Lord is emphasizing that both Sankhya yoga and karma yoga, or action in Krishna consciousness, have the same kind of a result. One is at a bottom up approach, the other one is top, where one does the analytical study, that's the Sankhya yoga, by means of which they will understand what is the root of the material world, which is Krishna, and then they will develop or do the service. The other one is directly engaging in the Lord's service, knowing him to be the source of everything. So both have the same kind of a result, is what Lord is explaining.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice. So Sankhya and yoga. So this is two words. So you can read Sankhya yoga or Sankhya plus yoga. So your yoga obviously refers to karma yoga, as Prabhuji writing, work in devotional service, and Sankhya refers to analytical study. Again, Jnana yoga and karma yoga has been compared here in terms of getting the same result. Vindate phalam. Ubhaya refers to two. Phalam. So the result of both paths are same. Not the paths are same, the result is same. Suppose you have to go to, I live in Chatswood, from Chatswood I have to go to North Sydney, so I'll just take a Pacific Highway, it's around 5-6 kilometers. I can arrive probably in 12 minutes or so. Now if I am taking a Sankhya Yoga mark, for example, I go from here to Hornsby and then Hornsby to Bella Vista and Bella Vista to Glenfield, and from Glenfield I come back to North Sydney. That's possible. It's possible, but is it a very intelligent path? It's not intelligent path. It's possible path. So similarly, the Sankhya Yoga is a possible path. It's a valid path. So phala, the result will be achieved, but after long way. I think it was Gopal Krishna Maharaj, if I'm not wrong, he gave an example of, if I have to go from Delhi to Vrindavan, I can catch a taxi or so, and sit in the car, be there in 3 hours, 120 kilometers, something like that. Or I can go from Delhi to China, China to Finland and Iceland, and go around the whole world and enter from Sri Lanka, from Kanyakumari, and then come to Vrindavan. So which path is better path? So definitely path of devotional service is very quick, very straightforward, very easy. We can live with it in our current situation of life. We don't have to take sannyas. We don't have to go to jungle. We don't have to become very knowledgeable about it. So in terms of phala, in terms of result, that also gives the result. but not very practical, especially for Kali Yuga. Okay, 5.5, last verse. Manmohan Prabhu, sorry, I've come back to you again.
One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are. So it's just explaining what you just explained, that you can take the long path, but if you know the destination is still the same, so then you would choose the path which is much more convenient, like just taking a taxi from Delhi to Vrindavan, then going all the way around the world. So that is a wise choice, to take the more convenient and easy path which has been provided to us so easily, and therefore sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level. So the level is still the same, but the path is easier. And given our circumstances in Kali Yuga, it is very hard to follow Sankhya Yoga, the different asanas and meditation and all that is going to be extremely difficult given our bodies are so limited. So I think that's what this shloka is saying. I don't remember a lot though.
That's okay, Prabhuji. So basically this 4 and 5 are similar verses, which is talking about more about the result being the same. Huh? Okay, let's move forward to our today's verse, 5.6. I see Shraddha Mataji, Hare Krishna. So this is the first verse of today's class, so you can sing it nicely. Mataji sings nicely.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Sannyasastu mahabaho.
Sannyasastu mahabaho.
Dukham aptum ayogataha.
Dukham aptum ayogataha.
Yoga yukto munir brahma.
Yoga yukto munir brahma.
Nachireda digachati.
Nachireda digachati.
Translation: merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay.
Thank you, Mataji. So a very simple verse. You can see the word sannyasas to mahabaho. Tu refers to but. But if you only take sannyas, sannyas here refers to renounce the activity, basically going the path of inactivity. So sannyasas to mahabaho, what you will get? So like in the previous verses, we're comparing about the result, right? So Sankhya Yoga, Prathak Bala, Pravdantina Panditaha. So we are comparing the result is same, but now Krishna is explaining about the process. But what you will get if you just merely renounce the action, dukham aptum ayogata. Ayogata refers to, yoga refers to if you are connected with the Lord, connected with the divine. Ayogata, you're not connected with the divine. So if you're not connected with the divine, dukham aptum, what you will achieve? Dukham. If you remember the 12th chapter, 12.5, the famous Klesho Dikataras Tesham. So if you choose the path of yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, what you will klesha, you will get klesha only. And the Brahmaji also prayers in 10th canto, 14th chapter, that whoever is taking the path of yoga are only actually taking the, what you call bhusi in English. There's a dhan, and on the dhan you have bhusi. So basically everyone works for the rice, not for the cover of the rice. But if you're taking the path of yoga, actually you only get the cover, not the rice. Now, any farmer would love to get the rice, or anyone would love to get the rice, not the covering. The covering is sort of waste. Maybe cows eat it, I'm not sure. So Krishna is saying, if you take the path of the sannyas, sannyas here refers to merely renouncing the activity, that I will become inactive. What you will achieve? Dukham aptum. You'll only achieve dukkha. But on the other hand, on the contrary, yoga yukta. Yoga yukta refers to a person who's well established in a divine consciousness. Munir refers to a thinker. Brahma, he will achieve Brahma, supreme. Nachirena adi gachati. Nachirena means Achirena, same thing. Chirena means refers to long, Nachirena means not long. So very, very soon he will achieve the supreme if he is Yoga Yukta. So basically, if we are connected with the Lord all the time, you are a great thinker and you will achieve the Lord very, very soon, rather than renouncing the activity. Many times um, in Indian culture is considered, at least on a higher level, that if you are having an orange garb, you are a very great person. Huh? If you are working in a company, you are just living like a grahastha, you are not so great. But that's not the case. That Krishna is very clearly saying, the important thing is, are you yoga yukta or you are ayogataha? So if you're not connected with the Lord, actually you will only achieve dukkha. But if you are connected with the Lord, again, no matter what your externals are, you will achieve Brahma very, very quickly. You shall achieve the supreme. So I'll read a translation again. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. Just external garb or external title of a sannyasi, that will not make one happy. So if the sannyasi is not becoming happy, how his followers are going to become happy? You go in Vrindavan, there are many other temples, will not name anyone, and they have their guru are also called these days, at least, Jagat Guru, and they have thousands of people coming through the doors. But how many of them have really changed their life? One of the main things you see in ISKCON, Prabhupada has changed people's life, changed people's mentality. What people were thinking before or doing earlier, coming to ISKCON, they don't do those activities anymore. They don't take even joy in seeing those activities, what you speak of involving in those activities. So this is called the transformation of the heart. This is what Krishna is recommending throughout the Bhagavad Gita. Many other organizations, they don't work on changing the heart. They just change the titles, and changing the title. Krishna is clearly saying, if you're ayokta, you're not connected to divine, dukkha maptam. Very clear words of Krishna is there. You'll only achieve dukkha. Your heart will be unsatisfied. So rather, Prabhupada said, you dovetail your activities in Krishna consciousness. No matter who you are a writer, you are a housemaker, it doesn't matter who you are. Yoga Yukta, be in touch with Krishna all the time. Be conscious of Krishna. How I can serve Krishna in this particular situation. That's what Prabhupada was emphasizing on. He was not emphasizing on everyone should become a Shavin and move in a brahmachari. Not like that. Huh? If that works, very good. If that doesn't work, very good. I'm remembering Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He arrived to see of Prabhupada at one of the America's airport. He was a big position in some other company. I think he was working for Pepsi that time. And he came to see Prabhupada just after the work. So he was wearing suit and tie and all that. And that time in ISKCON, 99% was like orange. So in the big, huge crowd of orange, you can see, one black suit person. So he was feeling a little embarrassed. So he was standing near the door. Maharaj explains that in one of the class. He was a little embarrassed. He's working in a company, he's earning money. He had a family. And see, these people are so nice. But Prabhupada could see Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He was standing in a very tiny corner, just looking at Prabhupada, peeping at Prabhupada. He was sitting and he was surrounded by ocean of orange. But Prabhupada looked at Gopal Krishna Maharaj. He took his personal flower, I think it was rose flower, and threw at Maharaj. And Maharaj grabbed that flower. He said, Gopal, come here. Come here. Why are you standing there? And he said, sorry, Prabhupada, I'm coming back from work. He said, that doesn't matter. You're as good as a sannyasi. Prabhupada said it. And Maharaj was appreciating Prabhupada in one of his talks. So Prabhupada could not see that, oh, this is an orange person. He's greater than this person who's working in a company. And soon after that, Gopal Krishna Maharaj now is changing the life of thousands and thousands of people, especially in Russia. So Prabhupada did not see his black suit. Prabhupada saw that person as a devotee. He said, that doesn't matter. You're coming from work. So it was very nice, very encouraging. Okay, let's move to 5.7. This is a beautiful verse. Charu Mataji, would you like to read this?
Yoga-yukto vishuddhatma.
Yoga-yukto vishuddhatma.
Vijitatma jitendriyaha.
Vijitatma jitendriyaha.
Sarvabhutatma bhutatma. Sarvabhutatma
Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma
Kurvannapi na lipyate.
Apina Lipyate.
Translation: one who works in devotion, who is a pure soul, and who controls his mind and senses is very dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So Yoga Yukta. So now previous verse was talking about Yoga Yukta, right? Now he's giving the definition of Yoga Yukta. How do you define that Yoga Yukta? Vishuddhatma. So he is very pure in Atma. He is very pure inside. Vijitatma. So here Atma refers to his mind. So Atma can refer to mind or sometimes can refer to his soul. So here Vijitatma refers to mind. Jitendriya, so Indriya refers to senses, Jitendriya refers to one who can be victorious of his senses. So Prabhupada is one who has full control of his mind and senses, Vijitatma, Jitendriya. Now the next quality, which is the most difficult one, Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma. With all the living entities, he considered them as himself. Now there's no Mayavad here. We're all one. No, not like that. He loves everyone as himself. As we love our body, we love another person's body and soul as well. Like Prabhupada was talking to a few of his disciples, he said, I love all of you, but I don't skin love you. Skin love means we only love the skin, because this person is my family member, is my son, my daughter, my father, my brother. So I love him, but I hate my neighbor. Because he's from a different nationality, he's taken birth from a different father or mother. So we have this skin love for some people and skin hate, because just because they are from a different nationality, they are from a different so-called religion, that's why we hate them. Like I'm remembering Hitler, he killed 10 million Jews just because they were following a different religion than what he was following. So a devotee is not like that. He's Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. In all the living entities, he has that vision. They're all part and parcel of Krishna. So they are like me. He loves them. Prabhupada loved everyone. There's Shad Goswami Astak. What's that word? They were dear to the devotees and the Rafis. What's the Sanskrit? Charu Mataji, you remember? Shad Goswami Astak?
Krishna Kirtana Ganana.
Yeah, so what's that word? They were very dear to devotees as well as Rafis. That's the translation. I know that line. Anyway, in Sanskrit they say, so Priya Karo. Anyway, so these Goswamis were very dear to not only devotees, even the Rafis, even the non-devotees would love them. Narad Muni, he goes to Hiranyakashipu, he goes to Kansa, and he goes to Krishna as well. So he's been loved by everyone. Narad Muni also meets with Raman, and he's preaching to Raman as well. We have stories in Puranas. So this person, a devotee, Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. Kurvan api. So if you are situated in that platform, Kurvan api na lipyate, you will not be bound on that platform. So again, Krishna is defining different characteristics. Yes, Charma.
Dhira dhira jana
Dhira.
priyakaro nirmatsaro pujito.
Dhira and adhira. So one who are dhira, the sober, the devotees, or adhira, impatient people, rogues, they also loved 6 Goswamis. Thank you, Mataji. So such a person always working, so you can work Kurvan. So work is not binding, it's the motivation behind the work which can bind a person. Okay, 5.8 to 9. So now how do we see that in a practical application life? So he's expanding on that word Yoga Yukta. So he's explained his internal characteristics. Now he's expanding on how does he practically live in a day-to-day life. It's very nice, verses 5.8 and 9. This we can probably relate with in our practical life. Now, other ones may be a bit hard for us at this stage, but these ones are very nice. 2 verses together. Vijaya Mataji, would you like to read?
Naiva kinchit karomiti.
Naiva kinchit karomiti.
Yukto manyeta tattvaved.
Yukto manyeta tattvaved.
Pashyan shrinvan sprishan jigran.
Pashyan shravan isparshan jignan.
Ashnan gachan swapan swashan.
Ashnan gachan swapan swashan.
Pralapan Visijran Grinnan
Pralapan Vishajan Grihanan
Unmishan Nimishannapi
Unmishan Nimishan Api
Indriyartheshu
Indriyani Indriyartheshu
Vartanta iti dharayan.
Vartanta iti dharayan.
A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all, because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only with the material senses are engaged with their objects, and that he is aloof from them.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this word here is yukta. So yukta again, a person, Prabhupada writes, in divine consciousness. So yoga, yukto, wherever you see these words, that person is well connected with the divine. So what are the external characteristics of this person? You can see from this person, two verses which Prabhupada has combined together. Prabhupada many times combined two verses because the thought flow is same. So instead of separating, he puts them together, just makes more sense. So nev kinchit karom iti. So he thinks yukto manyet. So manyet word is like manta hai, he considers himself like that. Dharyan, dharana, he thinks, his opinions is like that. And what is this person? Tattvavid. Anyone remembers the Tattvavid word used earlier in this chapter or elsewhere? In the last chapter, 2 times the word Tattva is used. What is the Tattva? Anyone? 4.9, 434?
I believe it's the person who is seeing the truth.
Thank you, Prabhuji. What's that verse? 434? Gyaninas Tattva Darshana. You remember 434? Janma Karma Chame 4.9. Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yoveti Tattvataha. Tattva refers to one who knows Krishna in Tattva. 7th chapter of Manishanam Sahasreshu Kashit Yatati Siddhaya Yadatam Api Siddhanam Kashin Mam Veti Tattvataha. Vadanti Tattva 1.11. So Tattvata refers to one who has seen the truth. Again, he has seen means realizing the truth. So the person who has realized the truth, he is yukta, is in divine consciousness, is known as Tattvavid. What is he doing? So we'll talk about different senses. So first we'll talk about Gyanendriya. Gyanendriya means knowledge acquiring senses. So how does he deal with the Gyanendriya? Pashyan. So Pashyan, everyone knows to see. Shravan, everyone knows to hear. Sparshan means sparsh karna, to touch. Jignan. Jignan is to smell. So all these, Ashnan refers to eating. Anyone remembers the word Ashnan used elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita? Okay. Everyone knows this verse. Ashnami. Ashnami means to accept. Yat karosh yat ashnasi. 927. So ashnami word. Ashnami is to grahan karna, to accept, and or to eating as well. So Krishna used this word for eating. I eat. Whoever offers me with love. So Gachan refers to go. We use our legs to go here and there. Swapan refers to everyone dreams. We sleep and we dream. Swashan, we all breathe. So all these different activities. Okay, there are a few more. Let's read them as well. Pralapan means pralap karna in Hindi is called, to cry. So many times we are crying. Crying does not mean literal crying. It means talking about it. We keep talking about our mundane things. Visrajan. So Visrajan means Visarjan karna. That's a Sanskrit, means to evacuate. So we pass a stool or urine, for example. Grahanan. We accept many things. Unmishan. Unmishan refers to opening of the eyes. Nimishan means closing up the eyes. Api. So all these actions are done Indriyani, Indriyartheshu. They are just a combination of senses and sense objects. The senses are interacting with sense objects. Suppose a boy is playing in a park somewhere with a ball. So you'll see a boy and the ball. They are playing, and the ball goes left, the boy goes left. Ball goes right, boy goes on the right direction. So you will not get too much involved in that so much. You will just see senses and sense objects are interacting, and whatever these senses are supposed to do, that sense is doing that activity. For example, The job of eyes is to see. Now, our eyes cannot smell. Krishna's eyes can. Brahmaji explains in Brahma Samhita, Krishna can eat from his eyes, Krishna can eat from his ears. We can't. So our eyes' job is to see. So whenever we see, an impression comes into my mind. That's why it's called Gyan Indriya, knowledge acquiring senses. By eyes only, we get the knowledge. Sometimes we get the knowledge by ears as well. Suppose we are chanting with the closed eyes, we hear some big sound, some kids are shouting in the foyer, we look around. They're called Gyanendriya. But what is happening? A sound came, my particular sense, which is ear in this case, interacted with the sound and it sent a signal to my mind and my mind is responding to that. Look at that sound, there may be a danger. So it's just the interaction. Suppose our ears were not working. I'm remembering one joke, I think, which Gaur Gopal Prabhu said, or probably Lal Govind Prabhu, I can't remember. Yes, one old man and woman were fighting. They went to a third person. I think this woman was saying, Judge Sahab, I want talak. I want divorce from my husband. And the judge said, so what's the matter? Long story short. So it says, my husband shouts at me a lot. So just said, you can also shout back. And she said, he shouts me and I have to listen. But when I shout, he takes his hearing aid off. So he takes his hearing aid off, so he doesn't have to hear me. So she was quite frustrated that my husband is not hearing me enough. So, so this is our situation. So if we take our hearing aid off from the material senses, literally we can do that, then it's just the interaction of eyes and the sense object. We are looking at the picture, beautiful or ugly. We react on that. We listen a beautiful sound or a non-beautiful sound, we react on it. But if we switch off this material listening it, for example, or seeing it, then we can concentrate on our devotion much better. So a person who is tattvavid, who has seen the truth, who has realized the truth, actually sees all these senses and sense objects are interacting with each other, and I am separate from it. I am not the body. I'm a pure soul. I'm part and parcel of Krishna. This body is actually dirty body. Every day, this body produces so many dirty elements. I'm not sure anyone else's body, but generally human body produces dirty substances. What comes out of the body, what goes in is very beautiful, but what goes out of the body, whether it comes from, sorry to say, from the mouth or from nose, from ears or from other organs, it's dirty substance. When we eat a samosa, it's very nice, but when it comes out, it's not so nice. No one wants to have a look at that. That's the same samosa. Actually, the story was told by, again, Lal Govind Prabhu. In Mahabharata, there's an explanation. Yudhishthira Maharaj was looking for someone who is lower than him. So Yudhishthira Maharaj looked at the stool, and I'm trying to remember the exact sentence, but something like that was, he looked at the stool and he thought, stool may be lower. Then the stool spoke. He said, yesterday when you ate me, it was samosas and pakoras and kaju and cashews and nuts, but now you have transformed me into this form. So Yudhishthira Maharaj said, actually, you are also greater than me. Because yesterday when we ate, we did not eat a stool. A stool became like a stool. It went through this body. So basically the point is, it's just senses and sense objects are interacting with each other, and they will do what they have to do. So yogi is not who does not pass a stool, who does not eat, or nothing like that. But senses have to do certain activities. He does that activity and he moves out. He does not get involved too much. Prabhupada gave this example. In India, a lady asked after Prabhupada's class, Prabhupada said, this material world is like a stool. We have to get out of this place. So this lady asked, but we have to go to bathroom, Swamiji. We all have to go to bathroom. Prabhupada said, yes, you have to go to bathroom, but don't stay there. If you stay there, you're not very intelligent. So you go to bathroom, do your job, and get out. Get out. So we are in the material world somehow or other. It's like a dirty place, but do your business and get out. Don't get over involved in it. So this person is not involving himself as a soul to the interaction of senses and sense object. Indriyani, indriyartheshu. Indriyartha means sense objects. So eyes want to see something, ear want to hear something, tongue want to taste something beautiful. These are just interaction between senses. It's got nothing to do with the soul. Now we can spiritualize that activity by seeing Krishna, by listening Krishna Katha, by tasting Krishna Prasad, by chanting Krishna. That's spiritualization. But in general, you see, it's just an interaction. So a pure soul does not get involved with all these activities. I'll read the names again. Passion, seeing; Shravan, listening; Sparshan, touching something. People get happy by touching some soft things. Jigran, smelling; Ashnan, eating; Gachan, going about here and there. People want to go on holidays here and there. But this got nothing to do with the soul. Sopan, dreaming; nice dream or bad dream, nothing to do with the soul. Swashan, breathing. Now, Swashan, one thing is important. Now, we're all breathing. We are speaking or we are listening. We are breathing at the same time. So there are many activities in the body which we consciously do, and some activities are unconsciously done. So consciously, like I'm speaking consciously, I'm trying to speak relevant subject matter. Not sure how you receiving it. I'm trying. You may receive it. He doesn't know what he is speaking. That's possible, but this is a conscious effort. But there are unconscious activities happening in my body at the same time, like my heart is beating, I'm breathing. My kidneys are working. Hopefully they are working. All these functions of the body are happening, but I am not controlling them, at least in my conscious way. I'm not controlling them, but they are happening. But they are happening automatically. It does not mean they are happening out of control. Like many people, kidneys doesn't work as they should work. They produce, I guess, more water. And what do you call that activity? Dialysis. Is that right? So you have to remove the water from the external machine out of the body. So the kidneys are working, for example, they are not working in proper order. Do we have control when they are working orderly or non-orderly? No control. But it does not mean they are not in control. So activity which we are consciously doing or unconsciously happening in our body, both are controlled by material nature, ultimately Lord. So if we see like that, so what is the so much fun about seeing a sight of a mountain or a river if it's not connected to Krishna? Okay, if you're seeing Govardhan, very nice, Jamuna, very nice. People get so much excited about holidays, tasting some pizza and pasta and whatnot. What's the so exciting thing about? You see that as a sense object, a taste will taste, and after it passes through the tongue, you don't want to see it, isn't it? Even if you're in your tummy, do you want to see what you have just eaten after a big feast that you have taken your 20 different types of prasadam? When it passes through here, you don't want to see, you don't want to smell. A person who vomits, no one likes that smell. So if you start seeing that way, again a difficult way, but it's just senses and sense objects are interacting, I'm not involved in it, then you will be situated on a tattvavid platform. Never kinchit, I'm not even doing a single activity. Kinchit is even thoda sa, I'm not even doing even a single bit, because this is just interaction of senses. Senses are material, sense objects are material, they are interacting with each other. I've got nothing to do with it. Then you are tattvavid. Again, a very high platform, but Krishna is showing these practical examples, day-to-day examples. Now, this is where he starts sort of channelizing us towards Brahma, towards the Supreme. Let's see, how do you stay away from the word? 5.10, very famous verse. You'll see this verse, Padma Patram Ivambasa, this analogy given by many sannyasis many times. Okay.
Prabhu, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, Mataji.
So he says, who is the doer in all of this? So if we look at it, the soul desires, and therefore there is an initiation of desire. Yes. And the super soul is sanctioning that desire.
Yes.
And the Prakriti is then executing.
Yes.
So all three are involved in this.
Yes, Mataji.
And then, so who is exactly the doer? How do we say karta ham iti manyate? How does this all tie back?
Thank you. Can I park this for a few verses? Because Krishna is explaining it, and we'll try to tie it together as per our understanding. Because Krishna himself is explaining this. So very good questions. Mataji's question, I'll just repeat. Very nice and practical question. Who is the doer? Who is the doer? Many times when we get the success, we take the glory. When we fail in our project, we blame on someone else. Oh, Prabhuji, you got involved. That's why it got ruined. Huh? So we all love our success. So who is the doer? And why soul is suffering or enjoying the material world? Why we are called Prakriti Kriyamanani Gunahi Karmani Sarcha Ahankar Vimudhatma. We are called Vimudhatma if we consider Karta Aham Iti Manite. I am the doer. Huh? We'll talk about it, Mataji. In the subsequent verses, this is the whole topic. Who is the doer? Who is the doer? Okay, let's read verses, and please remind me if I go away from this question. Brahmana Dhyaya Karmani. Okay, no, you have to read, not me. Who has not read? Deva Mataji, would you like to read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Brahmani adhaya karmani.
Brahmani adhaya karmani.
Sangam tyaktva karotiya.
Sangam tyaktva karotiya.
Lipyate nasa papena.
Lipyate nasa papena.
Padma patram ivam bhasa.
Padma patram ivam bhasa.
Translation: one who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Thank you.
So Brahmani Adhaya. So Adhaya, Prabhupada writes as resigning. So resigning means to hand over. So sometimes people resign and then they hand over. Sumit Prabhu will know he's a manager. People come in the team, people leave in the team. So there's a handover phase. So this is called Adhaya. So where we are Adhaya, where we are handing over? We are handing over to Brahmani. We are handing over to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What are we handing over? Karmani. So all the karmani, all the activities which we do, we hand over to Brahmani, to Supreme. And how we are doing that activity? Sangam Tyaktva. Sangam Tyaktva, this word is used again and again as a theme in Bhagavad Gita. You have to leave the attachment. Karotiyaha. So whoever quits this attachment of the activity and hand over the activity to Brahma, to the Supreme, lipate na, he will not be bound. Nasa papen, he will not be bound by what? Papena, he will not be bound by a reaction. How? An analogy is given by Krishna. Padma patram ivam vasa. As a Padma, Padma refers to the lotus, as a lotus leaf, Padma patra, as a lotus leaf in the water exists. If you put a drop of water in the lotus leaf, what will happen? The water will come out. Lotus leaf will not get wet. This is the very unique characteristic of the lotus leaf. I've heard some scientists are making this big skyrocket buildings, and they do this paint. It's called lotus ionization or something. They do this paint over the buildings so that even buildings doesn't get so much dirty. So they're using this lotus ion technology. You can Google it. I heard somewhere. So this lotus is so unique. Lotus stays in the water, but the water does not get lotus leaf wet. So this is how they say we should stay in the material world like this lotus leaf. We are in the material world. We can't come out of it. We can't just go from a rocket to Mars, for example. Oh, I've come out of the Bhava Pravaha. It doesn't work that way. Chaitanya Prabhu says a spiritual world, reaching to a spiritual world is not reaching to another physical destination. Is the elevating of our consciousness. We cannot go there by a rocket. You cannot go by there any scientific technology. Ravana was also trying to build from Earth planet to the Swar planet. He was unsuccessful, and he will be unsuccessful. So all these scientists who are trying to make this world more comfortable, they will never be ultimately successful because we are in the material. No technology can win over these material forces. It's just not possible. An example of Padma. So if you're living in the world with offering all the activities to Brahma, to the Supreme, you have no attachment to the activity or the fruits of the activity, then you're not bound with the Papa. Again, this verse is a direct indication to Arjuna. Even if you are doing the Yuddha, even if you're killing people in Yuddha, in the war, you will not be lipate nasa papena, you will not get any reaction if you live like a lotus leaf in the water. Okay. So this is offering all the activities to Brahma. Charu Mataji, I'll come to your answer. Let's read a few questions because this is the talking about the soul, Mataji. I want to talk about super soul and the nature. So once we understood the verses from 3, then we can try to tie it together. So as Mataji says, There's a soul, is the doer, so-called doer. There's a Prakriti, is the executor, and Krishna as a sanctioner. These three things, these actually whole series of verses is explaining these three. 5.11, who has not read as yet? Raghavi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Kayena manasa buddhya.
Kayena manasa buddhya.
Kevaler indriyer api.
Kevaler indriyer api.
Yogina karma kurvanti.
Yogina karma kurvanti.
Sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaya.
Sangam tyaktatma shuddhaye.
The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification.
Thank you, Mataji. So, I'll start from the third line, which just makes sense. Yoginaha karma kurvanti. So, yogi, again, situated in divine consciousness, that person who is well connected, karma kurvanti, he does the karma, he does the activities. Sangam tyakta, a repeat from the similar theme from the previous verse. He does not have any attachment, and he is involving Kayena. Kayena refers to the body, Manasa refers to the mind, Buddhi refers to the intelligence, Indriya api, api, even the senses. I'm just translating, we'll explain in a second. So he involves his body, his mind, his intelligence, including his senses, and he does without the attachment. What is the purpose of doing it? Why are you doing? If you're completely separated, you doesn't even want the result. Atma Shuddhaye, for self-purification. So a yogi does in the consciousness that I need to do this activity, not that I want the result. I'm not attached with the activity. I'm keeping myself aloof from the interaction of senses and sense object, but still I'm doing it. Why? Atma Shuddhaye. I have to purify myself. If you remember from the previous chapter, we said there are two purpose of yajna, two purpose of sacrifice. Anyone remembers the two purposes of sacrifices from the previous chapter?
Pleasing the Lord and purifying the consciousness.
You are telling a devotee answer. If we just read, so one is correct. So purification and liberation. That's what it says in chapter 4. So what's the purpose of sacrifice? Purification. We have to purify and eventually liberate ourselves. Now, we have not yet reached to pleasing the Lord, which obviously is the ultimate purpose, but I'm just going according to the chapters here. So this verse also talking about the doer, which Charumataji mentioned earlier. So why are we doing? Atma Shuddhaye. We have to purify ourselves. Now, the important word here, which our acharyas have explained here, Indriyarapi. Many times spirituality is related only with the intelligence, mind, not with the Indriya, not with the senses. So Krishna very clearly saying you can involve your Indriyas for the service, which is what Prabhupada is saying. So whatever skills you have, use it in Krishna consciousness, no matter what it is. So Indriya Rapi, so your Indriyas, your senses are also involved in the service of Krishna. And with that activity of the senses, you will get purified. Sevon Mukhehi Jivado, when we do seva from Jiva, for example, which is one of the Indriya, we can please Krishna. If we want to see Krishna just by our Indriya, by the senses, contaminated senses, we cannot see. But when we involve our Jiva, one of the senses, in the service of the Lord, and the other senses in the service of the Lord, then Swayam Ev Isfrutiyada, then Krishna will be revealed in the heart. So all these faculties we can involve in the service of Krishna. 5.12. I think it's the last verse in this series of doers, self-doer, like Atma. 5.12 and 5.13, Charumataji will start discussing about the super soul. So I want to sort of grab the verses and then tie them together. Okay. So 5.12, who want to read this? Seva Mataji, would you like to read?
Yeah, sure. Yukta karma phalam tyaktva.
Yukta karma phalam tyaktva.
Shantim apnoti naistikim.
Shantim apnoti nashtakim.
Ayukta kama karena.
Ayuktaha kamakarena.
Phale sakto nibhadyate.
Phale sakto nibhadyate.
The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled.
Thank you, Mataji. So this verse is considered a combination of the comparison, a contrast between a fruity worker and a karma yogi. So if you remember, 5.2 was a comparison between jnani yogi and karma yogi. 5.12 is a comparison between fruity worker. Fruity worker is ayuktaha. Kama karena. Kama refers to desire, karena. So he's doing his activities due to kam, due to desire. He's ayukta, he's not connected with the divine. Phale sakto, he's asakta, he's attached with the phala. I want to get money, I want to get some position in the world, I want to have this, I want to have that. He's just after phala, he's very attached, and people, 99.99% population of this world is phala sakta. They are working for the result, isn't it? If there's no result, why would they work? They are working very hard in a company to achieve the highest position. Like I think one sannyasi was saying, in our movement, we want to become dasanu, dasanu, das. And in the material world, what we want to become? Bossanu, bossanu, boss. There should be no boss above us. We should be the topmost boss. We don't want to hear any instructions from our superiors. I should be the topmost. We all like that. But in our movement, it's completely opposite then. It's difficult initially when people hear these words, dasanu, dasanu, das. And that's why they say Mayavad is very popular. Why? Because they say, you are God. And that's what we want to be. We want to become the full controller. So they say, Mayavadi, this product is very popular in the market. Krishna consciousness, only few people take. Only intelligent will take it, because that's not our position. But product sells because they make you feel, oh, you are God. In 6 months, you will feel you're God. Yeah, Mayavadi, go for it. But what Krishna is saying very clearly, Phale sakto nibadate. If you are asakta, if you are attached with the phala, you will be bound. But if you are yuktaha, if you are attached with the divine consciousness, karm phalam tyakta, again, exact contrary, you have left the result, karm phala, shantim apnoti, you will achieve shanti. Which shanti? We discussed earlier, param shanti, earlier the different word, neshtiki shanti. Now what does neshtiki means? Neshtiki come from word nishtha, which is one of the stages, 9 stages of bhakti. We all know Adar Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti. Sorry, Prabhuji. So Anartha Nivritti, and after Anartha Nivritti is, what's the next step? Anyone can help. Asakti and then Nishtha. So Nishtha, this means a situation from where you cannot come down. That is called Nishtha. Nishtha means Nitaram. Nitaram means you cannot come down after it. So a stha means situation from which you cannot come down. This is called Nishtha. So the Shanti, the peace from which you cannot come down. You see, Prabhupada is not, okay, he's a devotee at 7 o'clock and 7:30 is not a devotee. For us, it exists, isn't it? For me, it exists. So you may be a devotee this moment, that's fine, but not sure you'll be devotee after half an hour, after 30 minutes. You may be showing your, demon rupa to the world. So this, a person who is in divine consciousness, he achieves the shanti, which is naishtiki. Naishtiki means cannot come down out of that. We're all after that. We're all after that. Because we are not supremely connected with the Supreme. That's why we are in this anaishtiki situation. We get shanti, we love devotional life, but we are not constantly devotee. And that's why we get flickering happiness and then flickering moments of misery in our life. Okay, 5:13. Now, Krishna will speak about super soul here. Okay, sorry, 5:13 is the last one. Krishna is still continuing the series. Okay, 5:13. Who will read 5:13?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please.
Sarva karmani manasa.
Sarva karmani manasa.
Sangnasya aste sukham vashi.
Sannyasyaste sukham vashi.
Navadvare pure dehi.
Navadvare pure dehi.
Naiva kurbana karam.
Naiva kurbana karyan.
Hare Krishna.
Some translation.
Translation. The when the embodied living being control his nature and mentally renounce all action, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Sarva Karmani Manasa. Manasa sannyasa. So the word here, very important, sannyas, like Arjun is recommending sannyas, but Krishna is saying, no, 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 don't take just sannyas. So Krishna is saying, take manaha sannyas, mind say sannyas. Huh? What does mind say sannyas means? You are still involved in sarva karmani, you are still doing it, but in the mind you are not involved. And many times what happens, even if you are not doing anything, you are sitting like that, but you are thinking so much in our mind, so much. Mind is constantly active, rather overactive. When we are involved in devotional service, the mind is peaceful. Huh? When you're washing dishes in the temple, you're so peaceful. As soon as you come out of the kitchen, you know, this problem, that problem, this. Manasa. So Manasa sannyas is more important than just a sannyas. Sarva karmani, Manasa sannyasaste. And if you do that, Sukham vashi, you'll become Sukha. You'll become happy. And then Navadware Pure Dehi. So Dehi refers to, anyone remembers which other verse has word Dehi? Everyone knows this. Thank you. Dehino asminitha deha. So Dehi refers to embodied soul. So soul is where he is residing, the soul. Pure. Puri means Jagannath Puri, city. So Puri means city. This city has how many gates? Navadware. Anyone knows? Navadware, 9 gates of this city. Anyone? Charu Mataji is smiling. What are the 9 gates of our city?
2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth, then our skin and genitals.
Yes. So they are the 9 gates. Each person has it. Huh? So we are living in the city of 9 gates. Now, Sydney may have many gates, but our body has these 9 gates. From these 9 gates, we interact. Huh? So mostly, say we breathe from the ears, from the nose, not from the ears. We get some substances in the ear, then we have to take it out. So many gates work like a outgoing and many work like ingoing. Huh? Our mouth works both ways, outgoing and ingoing. We like ingoing, but outgoing we don't like. Vomiting, cough, and all that we don't like. Huh? So every gate has a particular function. So we are not this body. We are in the body. And this body has 9 gates. And this Dehi, this embodied soul, want to live in this city of 9 gates very happily. What you have to do, Sarva Karmani Manasa Sanyasaste. So give up, renounce the activities from the mind, not on the physical level. Naiva Kurvan Nakaryan. So Naiva Kurvan, he is not doing any activity, and Nakaryan. Nakaryan refers to his inducing others to do it. Now, a question can be asked, if you remember 3.1, I'll open that. Na jayasi chet karmanaste sanyasaste sukamashi. I'll just open the verse. I don't remember exactly. Arjun asked this question. Tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojasi keshva. Yeah, this verse. Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojasi keshva. So he's saying, why do you want to engage me in the ghastly warfare? So Arjun is saying basically, okay, I don't want to do war. Why are you engaging me? So Krishna is telling the answer of 3.1 in 5.13. He's saying, Neva Kurvan Nakari. Neva Kurvan, we all understand. So Dehi, the soul is not the doer. So Charu Mataji, soul is not the doer. And we'll explain that. Why soul is not the doer and how do we understand that sort of sentence. Nakaryan, and soul is also not inducing others. So Krishna is saying, Arjun, don't blame me that I am inducing you to do the work. Huh? So neither you are doing nor you are inducing others to do the work. So neither working nor causing work to be done. So you say a big Seth, a big businessman doesn't do many things himself, but he presses a button and others do it, right? So he is inducing the work. So soul is neither working nor causing work to be done. So Naiva Kurvan Nakaryan. So Arjun may ask, so Krishna, I'm not inducing others to do. So are you doing it? Let's do 5.14. Okay. Na kartam na karmani lokas is the just 1 second. I'll open 5.15. Yeah, 5.15. So 5.15, Krishna is talking about himself. So 5.14 is again soul doer verse. Who will read 5:14? Anyone? Ujjwala Samataji. Sorry, I name it because I wait and then I name some devotee.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Na kartutvam na karmani.
Na kartartvam na karmani.
Lokasya sujati prabhu.
Lokasya sujati prabhu.
Na karma phala samyogam.
Na karma phala sanyogam.
Sabhavastu pravartate.
Sabhavastu pravartate.
Translation. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature.
Thank you, Mataji. So, Charu Mataji, here's the second doer coming in, modes of material nature. So, I wanted to just cover the verses first. So, na kartartvam, the kartartvam proposes a proprietorship. So, na karmani, we all understand. So, we as a soul, I'm saying, do not do the activity, nor we induce others to do it. Lokasya srijati prabhu. Now, prabhu word here refers to the soul. Mayavadi may translate this prabhu as a super soul, but Prabhupada is clearly translating here the master of the city of the body, which is the dehi, which is the soul. So here prabhu refers to soul. Prabhu refers to controller, master. Na karm phal sanyogam. Neither soul creates the karm phala. Many times we know we try to make a nice sabji, but the sabji doesn't come out nice as a sabji. Gaurgopal Prabhu says that joke. Well, the wife said to the husband, today we'll make samosa for the lunch. So Prabhu says, make them first. We'll do the name giving ceremony afterwards. Whether the samosa comes out or a stone comes out, we don't know. So you make them first. We'll see what the name is later. So na karma phala sanyogam. So living entity does not do the work, does not induce others to do the work, nor does he create the karma phala, the phala, the fruits of the karma. Now, who is the doer, as Charu Mataji was asking? So second person introduced by Krishna in 5:14. So first one is the soul, so-called doer. Second, Swabhavastu pravartate. In Prabhupada writes, all this is enacted by the modes of material nature. Now this verse is very similar to 327. Pratyeh kriyamane is carried out by Prakriti. We'll read 5:15 and then we'll, Mataji, analyze your question. Okay. 5:15. The third doer is coming. So you can note down if you want to. So till 5:13, the first doer is introduced, which is the soul. 5:14, Krishna introduces Swabhavastu, Swabhav, Prakriti, material nature. Every jiva has a Swabhav. As per Chanakya, materially speaking, Swabhava cannot be changed. And we all experience that. A person's nature cannot be changed, materially speaking. Now, Jiva Goswami does not agree with that. Person's nature can be changed. A famous example of Mragari or Ratnakar Daku Valmiki, whose Swabhava changed. But materially speaking, Prabhupada also says Chanakya was right. Swabhava cannot be changed. Material nature cannot be changed. Because we have so deep impressions. We just helplessly act. A person who is getting very, very angry, again, materially speaking, no matter how many courses he do, he will still be angry. It's not something which can be changed by a button or by a pill, unless he purifies the anger. When the anger is purified, definitely it can be changed and can be used appropriately in the service of the Lord. Okay, let's read 5:15, the third doer. Charu Mataji, maybe you can read that. You have already sort of initiated that topic.
Sorry, Prabhu. Nadate kashyati papam.
Nadate kashyachit papam.
Nachaiva sukrutam vibhu.
Nachaiva sukrutam vibhu.
Ajnanenamvrittim jnanam.
Ajnanenamvritam jnanam.
Tena muhyanti jantavaha.
Tena muhyanti jantavaha.
Translation. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge. Hare Krishna.
So third person is introduced here in 5:15. So you can say, okay, soul is not the doer. At least just take this sentence as it is for now. I'll expand upon it. Prakriti is doing. So why soul is suffering? Because you said soul is not the doer. Soul is separate from it, right? Makes sense. Now, I was not involved in the activity. Why I'm being punished? Many times we all feel like that, isn't it? We say, nature is not very just. Huh? Nature is not very just. Anyway, nature is very, very just. So this verse is saying, na adate. Adate is also referring to accepting. So na adate, not accepting. Kasyachit papam. Vibhu. Vibhu refers to Supreme Person Krishna here. I do not accept anyone's papa. Na chaiva sukritam or a punya. So I do not accept pious or impious activities of anyone. So don't think, Arjun, which he said in 3.1, why are you engaging me in this ghastly warfare? That's what Arjun says, right? Why do you want to engage me in the ghastly warfare? So Krishna, you are making me do. Krishna says, no, I don't make you or anyone do anything, because I don't accept anyone's pap or punya. So what's the reality here? Ajnanena avratam jnanam. So if you remember from the 3rd chapter, all the souls, Jnanino Nityavarina, if you remember that verse 337, 338. So there says, we are all Jnani, we are all knowledgeable by default. But what has happened here? Ajnana has covered, ignorance has covered our Jnana. Tena, because of that, Muhyandi. Muhyandi means illusion. Jantava. Jantava refers to the beings. So beings are illusioned by ajnana, which has covered their jnana, covered their knowledge. And because of that, they do different pious or impious activities. But I, Krishna, Vibhu, do not accept anyone's pap or punya. Now, what is the gist of this verse, and what's the relation between all these 3 doers? Let's quickly analyze it. It's already 6:17. So when we say soul is not the doer, Krishna is not the doer, material nature is the doer, but why soul is suffering? Why I get certain sort of disease, or I get successes in the material world? So the 3 things are clear, everyone. So there are 3 doers here. One is the soul, one is the material nature, one is Krishna. Now, as Mataji was saying, the soul is the initiating cause. Soul desires. Soul desire, I want to achieve something. And I can achieve this by pap or by punya. But if the soul desire, for example, if I kill this living entity, I'll achieve, $10 million or whatever. Huh? If soul desires it, but who executes it? No, sorry, soul desires it and he gets a sanction from Paramatma. For example, he does get sanction. Okay, you're allowed to do this. Huh? So material nature executes it. Soul doesn't have capacity to kill someone or give life to someone or to do any activity, but material nature executes it. But who is the initiating cause? Is the soul. Now the example given, Charu Mataji, is of a criminal going to the jail. So if I perform a sin from my hands, for example, I hurt someone, police comes and arrests me. So I am the initiating cause, and police is the instrumental cause for taking me to the judge. And judge sanctions my, say, capital punishment. Huh? So 3 parties are involved. Now, but who is the doer in this very external? The person is the doer. Instrumental cause is the police, who takes me to the judge and does all these, paper filing and all whatnot. Judge, based on my activity, based on the evidences, passes an order. No, this person is the person who killed someone, who murdered someone, and this person gets a capital punishment. So he's sanctioning cause. So in this our scenario, we are the doer, we are the criminal. For example, Supreme Lord is like a judge who sanctions. Yes, you get the reward or you get the punishment. And material nature is the actual doer in the sense of police. Now, in our sense, how do we understand it? When we desire to hurt someone, material nature identifies it, goes to Krishna and say, Krishna, this entity A want to hurt entity B. Can he do it? So Krishna, based on deserving versus desires, if I deserve, I get it. If I just desire, I don't deserve, I don't get it. Krishna says, no, this living entity has done enough punya to be able to exploit others. I sanction it. Krishna sanctions it, and Prakriti executes it by the hand. So hand is also Prakriti. So by the combination of these 3, the action is performed. But who gets the result? Krishna sanctions. The judge doesn't get the result. If judge Judge gives a punishment, capital punishment, someone. Judge doesn't get involved. Judge goes out home. He eats his dinner nicely. But this criminal goes to jail and is hanged. Police doesn't get involved. Police is just doing the job. So material nature doesn't get involved. Material nature just doing the job. Hands are just doing the job based on the desire. But the soul gets the suffering or the enjoyment later, again through the material nature. So who is the initiating cause gets the suffering or the punishment. Is that okay, Charu Mataji?
It makes sense, Prabhu, but just makes me feel this is so unfair because super soul, if he's a parent, guardian, why would you allow me to desire something that is not right? Allow me to want something that is just not. As parents, do we allow that for our children? At
So
least somewhere we say.
so
No.
answer is given. The super soul acts as super soul, as Paramatma, just as an observer. If you read in 2.14, Prabhupada writes a verse from Upanishad. There are two birds sitting on the tree. One bird is eating the fruit. One bird is watching the other bird eating the fruits. So the super soul, this is the job of super soul, not to interfere. Not to interfere, just to sanction or not sanction, like a judge. Judge does not say, oh, why did you kill? Just, oh, you killed, so you get the capital punishment. Oh, you did a good action, you get $1 million as a reward, whatever. So super soul acts in our heart as super soul, as a judge, only till the time till we pray to the super soul, please interfere into my life. As soon as you pray, you are involved in devotion. And then Krishna acts as Bhagwan. And then Krishna from the heart tells you to do this and not do this. So super soul role changes. So when super soul is, you don't want interference, suppose your kids are very nice devotee kids, doesn't want parents to get involved. They really say, Mama, please don't come out. I'm enjoying with my friends outside. Don't look at me. Mama wants to help the kid. Beta, this activity will harm you, but you can't get involved because your kid has bound you, for example. But when kid you allows you, Mama, please come. If I'm doing wrong, please tell me. Kid has to allow you or not allow you. Although you have powers, but if your kid allows you with love, then Mama comes out and tells, Beta, do this. This is very good for you. Don't do this. That's not good for you. So that's the relation between a devotee and the Lord. But a Lord will not act as Lord, as Bhagwan, unless a devotee calls the Lord, please come and interfere. Please come in. So Shipalatra was giving class in the temple and says, start praying to Krishna. Although you may not want it, please, Krishna, interfere into my life. As soon as I do the wrong, please let me know. Please let me know. Otherwise, it will act as a super soul. So you can change the role of the super soul. And this is what we are doing in our devotional life. We are trying to change this ignorance, which we all have, that I know what I'm doing. Don't tell me what I need to do. To saying, Krishna, devotees, please tell me, I'm a fool number one. You please guide me. You please tell me, spiritual master, please tell me. When I'm doing wrong, please tell me. I will not mind. So you have to crush our ego. It hurts our ego, isn't it? When someone calls you fool. But if you allow a spiritual master, Krishna called Arjuna as a fool. Sochan and Sochasyam Pragya Vadashva. So you're speaking like a Pandit, but you are a fool number one. Prabhupada writes in the purport. So we have to change the role of the super soul. It is in our hand. And then super soul will act not as a Paramatma, will act as a Bhagwan. And will grab your hand and say, no, don't do this. Is it okay, Mataji?
Yeah. So if I've understood, super soul is Upadrishta Anumanta only as long as you're not the devotee or you're not trying to be a devotee.
Absolutely.
He becomes Bhagavan when you take the path of Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Mataji. So otherwise he's just a sanctioner. Yes or no? That's it. He doesn't want, criminal doesn't want judge to interfere in his personal life, isn't it? But when the criminal says to judge, please think like I'm your son. He's trying to melt the heart of the judge. Then judge will start thinking. Otherwise it's just, okay, law book says 2.3.1, go to jail. Go to jail. That's it. Simply. There's no relation there. But when you establish a relationship with the judge, Vishnu Bhagwan, with the Paramatma, then same Vishnu will start speaking in your heart. And you'll start listening to that Vishnu's voice. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice question. We'll stop here. Sorry, I'm 10 minutes over. Please excuse me. We'll start from next verse onwards in the next class. If you have questions, please write it and we'll try to respond that before the class. Okay. Sumit Prabhu, any announcements?
Prabhuji, the only thing is about the assignments due next week.
Okay, I didn't want to say that. Thank you.
It's already indicated.
So assignments.
The other thing, Prabhuji, do you want to mention about the schedule, like for the end of the classes for this year? So when would we?
Oh yes, so Sumit Prabhu has published a schedule already for during the Karthik and a little bit more as well. I think last, Prabhu, I don't remember the date. I think 16th of December is the last class of the year.
I think.
So whatever the Sunday is around 15, 16, I'll just check and tell.
I think it is, hold on, sorry.
Okay, so I'm looking at the calendar. 18th is the last sort of Sunday. So we'll have class on 18th, then we'll have 4 weeks gap. So if you're planning to go overseas and wherever, spend time with your family. So 18th is the last class. And obviously no one is bound to come physically on the 18th class. You can join online, even if you're in India or wherever you are. So please feel free to continue with your holiday plans. 18th will be the last class of this year. Okay. And so Prabhu has published the Karthik schedule as well. If you have any more questions, just ask him. So Karthik is Thursday. So next Sunday we'll have class. And last one, Ghanesham Prabhu is giving class next Sunday. Please come. You've been tolerating me for many months. Ghanesham Prabhu will be here with us. So have your questions ready. He's really very, very good devotee and very knowledgeable person. So please come and we'll have very good class next week, 4 to 6 online by Ghanesham Prabhuji. Sorry, today he could not make. There's a meeting in the temple right now. And many of us are also supposed to join, but we preferred the class over the meeting. So next week he'll surely come. Okay, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita jai. Gaur.
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama